That was not a homestand to write home about. Padres and Phillies. Brewers get swept by the Phils, and even the one game they won, they probably should have lost. They go 1-6 at home. That was probably the worst homestand in a long, long time. Let's talk it out. Tough start to our weekend here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning. It is Friday, June 10th. Thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen of the day. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. I'm the statistician for Bally Sports Wisconsin, bringing you all the news, notes, and nuggets you want to know about the Brew Crew this season, who are currently on their worst losing streak of the season at 6 consecutive games. If you haven't already, hit subscribe wherever you get your podcast and on our YouTube page. Look, I know you use YouTube. Go ahead and just hit subscribe. Just hit subscribe. That way you can see the video version on there as well. In the Hopper drops today. It is up and available right now on Devin Williams. Some fascinating numbers on the start of his season. And also follow us on Twitter at Locked On Brewers. So I can sit here and throw a pity party and say this team's not making the playoffs and that they need to get this and that. I can throw a tantrum, right? No. Just like yesterday's podcast, I'm going to continue to look at the long road ahead. I'm going to continue to be an optimist. These last 2 days have absolutely sucked. Absolutely sucked. But I've said it a million times over. The season doesn't really begin until the trade deadline. I still believe that. And you have played absolutely awful. Okay? This is your worst stretch of the season, bar none. Right? And if you want to look at the standings, yes, the Brewers are still technically in first place by a half of a game. But we haven't learned a whole lot about this team. Thanks to the Cardinals getting swept by the Rays, it doesn't hurt as bad in the standings that you want to be looking up at the Cardinals. The way I see it is this next stretch of games for the Brewers, we talked about previously the 11 games in 10 days being a big trip, the 18 games in 17 days consecutive stretch. But this is it. We're at the very end of this very, very difficult stretch right now for the Brewers. And maybe catching the Nationals right now is exactly what they need. The worst team in the National League, 3 games against the bottom feeders of the Nationals before you take on the Mets with an off day between, mind you. Sunday and Tuesday are the games, so Monday off day in New York City. And then you go to Cincinnati. All 3 series are in the Eastern time zone. Cincinnati a weekend next week, 6:40, 4:10, and 1:40 out there in Cincinnati. If there's a time to lock in, it's these next, let's call it 19 games. So Nationals, obviously tonight, 6:05 first pitch Central, 7:05 Eastern. Nationals, you need to win this series. I don't even unlock the panic button unless you lose this series. You should win this series. And I'm not letting you freak out if they lose tonight because they can still win Saturday, Sunday, and win the series. And also, let's not overreact that if the Brewers win a 1-run game against a team they probably should beat pretty easily in the Nationals, we're not going to overreact by breaking a losing streak by saying, well, they should have won by more. I mean, come on. It's the Nationals. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Luis Urias is batting cleanup. We're not doing that. It's not normal. This is not a normal lineup right now for the Brewers. Christian Yelich, yes, he got 2 hits, but look at me honestly in the eye and say you were happy about those 2 hits from Christian Yelich yesterday. He's batting leadoff, trying to get him going. Adama saw 1,000,000 pitches yesterday. He goes 1 for 4, came up in a couple of key clutch spots that didn't quite get the job done. He did hit the home run in the first inning that we thought was going to break the pressure for the Brewers and get things going for them. Didn't work out in that regard. Hunter Renfroe had a home run in this one, a no-doubt blast to center field. That was encouraging to see. But a handful of guys are absolutely ice cold right now, including Luis Urias. He had a brutal homestand. And similar to what they're doing with Christian Yelich, they're putting him in the cleanup spot to try to get him going. Urias went 1 for 16 during the homestand. 2 for 17 in this homestand. As for the rest of this lineup, it's not great. Yelich went a total of 5 for 23. Tyrone Taylor went 3 for 22. Lorenzo Cain didn't have a hit over the homestand. Keston Hiura went 1 for 13. Everybody is slumping at the exact same time. And that results in a 6-game losing streak. And the fact is, the reason why I'm not hitting the panic button is because you can physically point to these 6 games and 8 of their last 9 and say they have played nowhere near their best baseball. Whereas if you're losing games playing well, playing your best, right? As in good games, well-pitched games, and it's just not good enough, as opposed to beating yourself, not getting any offense, and, kicking the ball around. Those losses you feel like are correctable. But whereas if you were a team that consistently lost one-run games, which the Brewers are not, that's when you start to worry. When I look at the Brewers right now, so they've lost 6 in a row. They got outscored handily on this homestand. They only won 1 game. The one win was a one-run game. They lost a one-run game on Tuesday with the 2 homers allowed by Josh Hader. It would feel a whole lot better, too, if the Brewers had won that game, too, on Tuesday. Obviously, they did not, so you can't say what if. What also stings is the last 2 games against the Cubs. And I sat here on this podcast saying, look, you still got a split. It was a tough series, yada, yada. I was trying to talk folks down from being frustrated about splitting with the Cubs. I see your frustration with, well, look what it led to. They went 1-6 on the next homestand. They're cold. They're cold right now. You're allowed to go cold on the season. They're 33-26. They lose 8-3 in this one. But when I see the Brewers, I still see a team that's really good in one-run games. They're 13-7 in one-run games, whereas a team like the Cardinals, when it comes to one-run games, they lost one here yesterday. They're now 7-6 in one-run games. When it comes to the Cardinals against the division, they are 5-1 against Pittsburgh, 2-1 against Cincinnati, and just 3-2 against the Cubs. The Brewers are only 5-5 against the Cubs so far this year, 4-2 against Cincinnati, and a perfect 6-0 against the Pirates. I know I lost track of saying these next 19 games or so are going to be very, very important. The reason I say that is while you have the Nationals now, the Mets following that, then Cincinnati, who's playing a lot better baseball as of late, because of these next 19 games and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 series you have, 4 of them will be against playoff teams. The Mets, a 4-game homestand against the Cardinals, a 3-game homestand against the Blue Jays, and then 2 games down at the Trop in Tampa Bay. This is a tough stretch. Then things will ease slightly with Pittsburgh, Chicago, Pittsburgh. 2 games in Minnesota. Then you go to San Francisco to close out the first half. This is a tough stretch. They're ice cold. They're figuring things out. I'm not going to throw a pity party. We're going to look at some numbers of what went wrong and then get you ready for the Nationals in just a second. Before we do that, tell you about LinkedIn. Look, small businesses are back in work, back in business. LinkedIn Jobs is making it easier to grow your team, and LinkedIn is going to help you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million. That's almost a billion. 810 million people. You can add your job, and it can use the purple hashtag hiring frame, so that way you can easily stand out in the profile and spread the word that you're hiring, so your network can find the right people that you want to get. There's screening questions, some of the easy tools that they have to make it easy to focus on candidates with the right skills. So LinkedIn Jobs wants to help you find those folks that you actually want to talk to. Did you know that every single week, nearly 40 million job seekers are visiting LinkedIn? I have been one of those job seekers in the past before. You can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The guy I feel the worst for is Craig Counsell right now. The fact that he is still sitting on 562 wins. He wins game 1 of his homestand. Oh, a 7-game homestand. He's probably going to get it done. He's going to finally pass Phil Garner. Well, we got 6 more games. You're going to win one of these, right? And tie him and have this big celebration. Nope. Yikes. That wasn't fun. Mark Atanasio, principal owner of the Brewers, was actually on Bally Sports Wisconsin on Wednesday. And he has a surprise plan for Craig Counsell and the family once he does pass Phil Garner for most wins ever in franchise history as a manager. However, he doesn't want to spoil it. He doesn't want to share it with anybody yet. And now, since he's been at the ballpark and they haven't been winning, he feels like he's a jinx and he's very superstitious. And Bill Schroeder had a great line in response to hearing that from Mark Atanasio. He said, "Well, I hope it's not food because it's spoiled by now." It's sad. It's true, but it was funny. Thanks, Rock. You gotta find the light moments sometimes. Brewers have lost 6 in a row. First time they've lost 6 in a row at home since 2016. Man, it's not a fun sentence to say. They were terrible with runners on base this entire homestand. They hit like a $105 with runners on base. That's not even just with runners in scoring position. They hit a little over 105 with runners on base. How many times did you see this series a man lead off the inning with a base hit and not being able to move over? Or, in the case of yesterday's game, I want to talk about that bunt by Tyrone Taylor that didn't work out. That was in the into the bullpen in the 6th inning. A leadoff walk. That wasn't a leadoff walk, but rather for Tyrone to come up after the home run from Hunter Renfroe. Caratini manages an infield single. He legs one out. Great hustle and a little chopper over to third. So I have a feeling, I didn't see confirmation of this postgame, that Tyrone bunted on his own there in the bottom of the 6th inning as the 9-hole hitter. You wouldn't be bunting for a sacrifice if they were down by a run. Tyrone's there to swing the bat. He's not there to bunt. I know he might have been trying to do something with his legs and put Caratini in scoring position. But I'm in the frame of thought that with a hitter like Tyrone, it's not worth it to bunt. If we're talking a Pablo Reyes, maybe it's worth it. Or even a Jace, who's a good bunter and is actually a little faster than Tyrone. I would consider it. But Tyrone has never laid down a bunt in the big leagues. He hasn't laid down a bunt since 2019. I have a feeling he was bunting on his own there. I did not like that decision-making. For the Brewers to break out of this funk, they need to play fundamental baseball again. And you might be shouting, well, isn't a bunt and move a guy over fundamental baseball? It's not smart baseball. The fact that 2 home runs here in yesterday's game was their entire offense. Well, they had that mini rally in the 9th inning, which I am ignoring. But let's be honest, the game was in hand. The game was decided. So they had the mini rally in the 9th to score a run that wasn't with a home run. Okay, aside from that, they get shut out in Wednesday's game, so no runs in that one. On Tuesday, they didn't hit a homer, but they did get a couple of RBIs, one from McCutchen and one from Rowdy Tellez. But they haven't had these long, sustained innings of multiple runs being scored. In fact, just looking back through these homestands right now, the last time the Brewers scored multiple runs, they scored, they had the 2-run homer from Colton Wong in the 7th inning against the Padres. That doesn't count. But the last time they actually had multiple runs scored without the aid of a home run in an inning was the bottom of the 9th against the Padres to open this homestand. The big triple by Jace and then the base hit by Andrew McCutchen to take the lead for good. Then you go back to the Cubs games. Didn't have multiple runs in the finale there on last Wednesday. Had multiple runs in 2 separate innings. One of them was a 3-run homer, though, by Victor Caratini. That was back in the 6th inning. So the last time, aside from the opener of this homestand on last Thursday, where they scored multiple runs without the aid of a home run, you have to go back to last Tuesday at Wrigley, last day of May, when they scored 3 runs in the top of the 3rd inning against the Cubs, thanks to a bases-clearing, 1-out, full-count double by Tyrone Taylor. There hasn't been a lot of sustained offense. That was the last really big hit that wasn't a homer for the Brewers. They live and die with the homer. We have talked about that as of late. We have not seen them continue to form rallies, grind out at bats and play that kind of style of baseball, a hard-nosed baseball that makes them tough to pitch to. When you look at the leaderboards right now here in the National League, there are a few games in progress right now, to be fair. I don't think these numbers are going to change drastically. But in the NL, the Brewers are now in a tie for second for homers, 74. They're tied now with the Phillies with 74. The Braves lead the way, who, oh, by the way, have won 8 games in a row. They have 76 homers. But as an offense, the Brewers have an on-base percentage of just .306. That is third worst in the National League, only ahead of the Diamondbacks and the Pirates, and behind the Reds and the Nationals. I said it in yesterday's podcast. I am sure David Stearns is working the phones to find some sort of offense. But we went through the league averages yesterday. It's not like someone's just going to roll in and walk through the door and say, bam, here comes a 300 hitter and a 390 on base and a 480 slugging. Those guys aren't out there. And furthermore, those guys aren't available. And for the way that they would fit with the Brewers, you need somebody that can hit lefties. That is for sure. Given how much McCutchen has cooled off, Rowdy Tellez has been playing every day. He's been playing against lefties, but you would like some other power, some legitimate power against lefties. Hunter Renfroe is that only guy right now that can give you power against lefties. Kutch gives you good ABs, but until he gets back going, you can't say that he's a legitimate power threat against left-handed pitching. This season, his splits, granted he missed a lot of time with the COVID IL, but this season, his splits against lefties, he's hitting a .654 OPS against lefties. It's just .549 against righties. And because Keston Hiura has his reverse splits, you can't platoon the DH spot because Keston's right-handed. You need a power left-handed bat right now in that DH spot to take care of righties since Kutch isn't getting the job done. And then vice versa, you need to get some more pop against left-handed pitching. There is a flaw with this offense right now. It is not going to go away until a move is made. With this team getting healthier, though, it was encouraging to see Adames and Renfroe get going again. Granted, they only each had one hit, the home runs. But I look at the rest of this lineup that's been in there for a while. I look at Urias getting back in there. And when Colton Long returns, see how long he has to stay on the shelf for. He is still considered day-to-day. Mike Brasso expects to return against the Mets. He's been having really good at-bats against left-handed pitching. They need some more thump against lefties. They need to just make... It's going to be a move that may fly under the radar since there just isn't much available right now. And you look at pending free agents, and a lot of teams, don't want to trade their type prospects, things of that nature. It's going to be a tough goodbye for whoever they decide to trade to make this team better because this team needs to make a move moving forward. Let's talk about the Nationals. Before we do that, I want to tell you about Athletic Greens. You've heard me tell you about AG1, their amazing product that I start my morning with. I'm a caddy. I'm literally on the course right now by the time you're listening to this at Erin Hills. Start my day with my coffee, my water, and my AG1, and I'm out the door. AG1 gives you 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods. I can't even speak. I'm so excited about AG1. It is something that can help your gut health, your immunity, your actual energy throughout the day, your energy and your focus throughout the day too. AG1 is a do-it-all, make you feel better, multivitamin type supplement that you don't need to take 3, 4, 5 multivitamins every single day. And it's a micro habit that can help you do great things for your body. It even has a subscription that includes a year's supply of vitamin D, of course, for all of us here in Wisconsin. The other half of the year when it's not beautiful outside, we need some vitamin D, right? It's super easy to incorporate into your lifestyle. Less than $3 a day, over 7,000 5-star reviews. You can reclaim your health and your immune system with convenient daily nutrition from Athletic Greens. It's just one scoop into a glass of water every single day. To make it easy, they will include that 1-year supply of vitamin D packs and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Just visit athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. Again, athleticgreens.com/MLB Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. We're also brought to you by BetOnline, your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. You can find all the latest developments, news, odds, of course, the finals are going on right now. Things are getting chippy between Boston and Golden State. NHL Conference Finals. There will not be a Canadian team winning again. You should have bet on that earlier in the year. You would have found out about the odds about a non-Canadian winning the Cup again preseason. Remember that for next year. You could find all that kind of stuff at betonline.net. They've got College World Series stuff on there, too, coming up here. It's amazing stuff. Just reading on all the trends, find out what you may want to play in. If you're listening in Illinois, go for it. You can head to their website today. You can use your phone to get there, too. Go to betonline.net, where the game starts. Nationals. Okay, Nationals. Nationals. Let's flush it. Let's move on. 6-game losing streak is no fun. I'm not throwing a pity party. We just went through some of the issues with this team right now. The Nationals are coming in 21-38. Last place in the East. They are the second worst team in the National League. They go back and forth with Cincinnati. Cincinnati is 20-37, who, by the way, lost Tyler Stevenson yesterday to a broken thumb for the next month. And he has been torching the Brewers this season, so the Brewers will not see Stevenson at the end of this road trip. As for pitchers coming up, Aaron Ashby, we mentioned tonight, going up against Eric Fedde again. He is 3-4, a 4.88 ERA. Patrick Corbin, left-handed pitcher. He is 2-8, a 6.71 ERA. The back half of this contract that he has signed with the Nationals is not working out for him. Remember when he came over from the Diamondbacks? And then he'll be going up against Eric Lauer, who is 5-1 with a 2.38 ERA. And then TBD for Washington on Sunday. And as it stands right now, Jason Alexander will make his third start as a Brewer coming up on Sunday. And then they will remain to see what they do with Brandon Woodruff coming up for the Mets series. When I look at the Nationals, obviously they have Juan Soto. The big thing that we talked about when they were here about a couple of weeks ago, the Nationals rarely strike out. They have the fewest strikeouts in the National League as a team. They have 431 strikeouts in their 59 games. That is one more game than the Cardinals, and yet they have fewer strikeouts than them. But they have really no thump in their bats in this young season. They have the fewest homers in baseball with 42 home runs. Granted, they have 100 doubles, which is third most in the NL. They beat you in the gaps. They beat you with small ball. They have 10 sacrifice bunts, which is the most in the National League. They have also drawn 176 walks, which is right in the middle of the pack. The Brewers are in the top half of the pack. They're at 192. There are 5 different teams with over 200 walks so far on the season. When I look at the Brewers and look ahead on this schedule, we talked about this tough gauntlet that they're about to face with 4 of the next 6 series against playoff teams. Get used to it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of tough games coming up here for the Brewers, especially that St. Louis series that's lurking. I don't want to jump too far ahead into this schedule, but the games that really start to matter, you can really make an argument that the season starts on June 20th against those Cardinals, those 4 games against St. Louis, because you won't see St. Louis again until the second half. Furthermore, you won't even see them again until August 12th for 2 whole months. So June 20th, 4-game series against the Cardinals to try to give yourself some space, because before the Brewers see the Cardinals again, here are some of the list of teams that they will have to play series against. Toronto, Tampa Bay, San Francisco. They host Minnesota. They go to Boston. They host Tampa Bay. And then they go to St. Louis. There's some Cincinnati's and Pittsburghs in there too, but there are some legit teams, Eastern time zone teams. The good news is you don't have any more 3-city road trips after this trip. After that St. Louis series, you will only see them 2 more times. That'll be in September. 2 games in St. Louis, then 2 games here at home at the end of September. So there's not a lot of time to generate space head-to-head with the Cardinals. When I look at a team that's on a 6-game losing streak, you're never as bad as you think you are at your lowest point, and you're never as good as you think you are at your highest point. I mean, the Brewers, the most games they've been over 500 is 14. That was back at the start of this tough stretch back on May 30th. And now they're down to 33-26, 7 games over. They can still rattle off this streak like I've been talking about the last 2 episodes. The Braves, they've won 8 in a row. The Red Sox have won 7 in a row. And to be a skeptic and to be a realist, some folks would say, well, look at the Angels. You can just as easily go in the other direction like the Angels have been doing. Looking at the box score right now, they're playing at the time of recording. They're scoreless against the Red Sox in the bottom of the fourth right now. They've lost 14 games in a row. They fired their manager. That's not going to happen to the Brewers. But this is a big series against the Nats, not for standings, but for psyche. Get 2 out of 3, get back on track. It doesn't need to be a sweep. You'd like it to be a sweep. Get your psyche back. Win 2 out of 3, and then get ready for a massive series with the Metropolitans. And no Max Scherzer, no Jacob deGrom. You got that going for you, but you'll probably see Chris Bassett. You'll see old friend Fogo Power, Eduardo Escobar. It's going to be hard to play in New York. Things are jumping up there in Queens. Let's just smile, okay? Let's enjoy the weekend, okay? I'm not going to throw a panic button at you or anything yet, but fair criticisms are certainly warranted for the Brewers right now, having lost 6 games in a row. I always try to put a positive spin on things, but there's not much to take positive out of this right now, but other than shake it off, move on. You're in a new city, maybe waking up in a hotel room. We'll flush it all out here from Miller Park or American Family Field. That's the first time it slipped for me, okay? That's the first time. Cut me some slack. It's American Family Field, I know. Well, is it? Is it? Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather we have here in Milwaukee. We've been overdue. Is it real summer now? Are we finally through with fake summer? I hope so. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday. Let's have a fun weekend. Catch us on Bally Sports Wisconsin. Until then, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.